Hello, my name is Nicole, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I titled this message, Insults to Your Intelligence. Insults to your intelligence. And some of you all, you are educated. You are the type of individual who is very generous and kind, and you do look out for others, and you do make a solid case when you are debating. I mean, there is nothing to be said negative about you. And not only that, you are a believer, and so you're walking righteously and you are helping others. But you see, it's unfortunate, but we have those who will attack because they don't like that sort of thing. Okay? So they're going to attack in different ways. And some of you all have experienced this sort of thing. The first thing is that they want to lure you into a debate of some sort. Or if they don't lure you, if you were to bring an argument to them, or maybe you just made a comment or a statement and they reject it, or they don't like it, or, oh, it's you bringing it. Now, it could be anybody else, but it's you, and I don't really like you. Okay. The plan then is, of course, to say the kind of things and do the kind of things to make you look like you are everything that is unrighteous, ungodly, anything that is going to make them feel good about themselves. We have those individuals who unfortunately have personality disorders, and they actually feel good when they know somebody is struggling. They feel good when they know they have hurt someone in some way. They feel good when you can't seem to get a break. They tend to pride themselves on other people's failures. They will set up situations where they could help you. They could give you the necessary tools and so forth, but they may give you a little or nothing at all. Okay. And the whole point is to make themselves look better than you, make themselves feel better. Then what do? If you feel like you've been insulted or offended in some way, you want to defend. You want to prove that you are not what they are saying. But can I tell you that those sorts of arguments with fools, with critical people, with children of darkness, they don't go very far, do they? You end up being the one that's upset. You end up being the one that is fighting with plans to exert revenge on them. You end up being the one that folks start questioning whether or not you're sane. You end up being the one who just causes all sorts of confusion because somebody has confused you, frustrated you, irritated you. Okay. And that falls into the enemy's plan. I told you that child of light isn't a child of light. I told you that there was a way to break her down or him down. See what her weakness is? Yep. I had to prove it to you. That's why I said what I said to her, you see, and witnesses are like, oh, I guess he's right. Oh, I guess she's right. You see, because someone who is very cunning. Okay. You got folks who are intelligent, but intelligent in a sinister kind of way. Okay. Some of you all bear with me with this one. These people who are intelligent in a sinister way are those that they know God, right? They know things related to the workplace. They may have some understanding as far as family connections. They might even have a bit of a background in psychology and so forth. So rather than use their intelligence for good, they use it for sinister practices, sinister things, okay, strategies and so forth. And when they see that they are in competition with someone, or they see that you are better in some ways than they are, they got to figure out a way to put you in a box. It's like the parent who sees that their child is growing up, right? They see that their child is actually surpassing knowledge, okay, that they have. They see that the child has more opportunities, and rather than support them, the jealous parent is finding ways to keep them in a box. You got to stay close to me. Okay. You got to stay in the same state. What do you want to go out there for? You know, what's out there? Why do you have to go to college? I mean, you could stay here with me. Why is it that you gotta, be involved with this program? I mean, isn't my program better, or the club that I'm a part of? Or what about my church? You see? So when you have people like this who you know that they're not dumb, okay? And they don't really think you're dumb either, but they have ways about them that they want to get the upper hand on you before you end up saying or doing something that might make them feel a certain kind of way. Okay. They might feel ashamed. They might feel embarrassed. They might feel convicted. And I'll tell you, if you're a child of light, sooner or later, you're going to rub somebody the wrong way. Okay. Let me say that again. If you are a child of light, sooner or later, you're going to rub somebody the wrong way. You see, children of light, we're not good at worldly friendships. We're not. We can't be teachers and flatterers. Okay. We can't be good friends and yes men. That just can't happen. When you walk with the Lord in truth, you got to speak truth. And God will move upon your spirit to speak the kind of words that are going to permeate people's ear gate. And then they are going to have to do something about it, even if they're complaining and kicking along the way, even if they are leaving negative comments on some of you all's YouTube channels, even if they are, contemplating evil against you. They are responsible for the knowledge that they have received. And whether they believe in God or they don't, it doesn't matter, because life has a way of kicking you around. Life has a way of showing up and showing out. And sometimes we come across these individuals who are very intelligent, who know more than us. And rather than being the type of folks that want to fight at everything and on every issue, humble yourself, says the Lord. And the problem with some of these folks that you all talk to, okay, whether you're doing it through email, text, or what have you, and you find that there's a tension in the air, right? They're starting to come at you with a lot of negative talk, or they feel like you're offending them in some way. They unfortunately are not walking with God. They unfortunately don't have the type of knowledge that you have. And so when somebody feels a bit intimidated or threatened, they attack. They go on attack. Okay. So for some of you all, you're used to this sort of thing, but don't get too comfortable in that, because after a while, it starts to tear you down emotionally, physically, and spiritually. That's why here on YouTube, Enterprise 7, we encourage people to get up out of situations, you see, rather than stay in them. There's a season that God has you in where you do stay in certain situations to learn lessons. But then at some point, he says, okay, it's time for you to go. Okay, it's time for you to go. So I'm going to be like Moses and tell you that when you keep coming up against certain people saying certain things, that's when you got to put that plan in order and allow the Lord to lead you. And then you got to get away from people like that, because they hinder your growth. They hinder your growth. Years ago, when I first said that I wanted to walk with the Lord, okay, and I said this behind closed doors with a guy who I was dating, who was abusive, who I really didn't quite understand what that meant. Okay. I really didn't, because I was so used to nice people. I was so used to being around, decent folks. And so I didn't realize, though, that his abuse was starting on my mind first. Oh, you plan on taking this whole thing with God seriously? Oh, I was just taking you to the church. I didn't know it was going to be all like this. You see, and when I was taking God seriously and I decided to walk down the aisle and so forth, that's when he turned it up with the abuse. I thought that somehow, some way, my going to church, him going to church, that things were going to get better. And it didn't, because children of light and children of darkness don't get along for long. OK, sooner or later, the children of darkness are trying to recruit the children of light onto their side, and the children of light are trying to recruit the children of darkness onto their side. Okay. So now you got two people at war in an atmosphere where, guess what? It's better for us to just distance ourselves. And being that I was in college at the time, this is where this part of the message is crucial for those of you all who have been insulted time and time again because you're smart. Being that I was in college at the time, what he was doing prior to physically putting his hands on me was he would say smart little comments, and he would say he was just joking initially before he started to just go off and say all sorts of mean things to me. But initially it started with a joke, okay, about my intelligence. Oh, you're so naive. You're stupid. Oh, you're dumb. right? And initially you don't really think too much about it. Okay. But then over time, you know what? I'm sick of you. You know, there you go saying this, that, and the other. You so stupid. Oh, now it's not sounding like a joke. See? And then over time, the words get harsher. You know, you are just a, you know, bleep, bleep, bleep. I mean, some of these words were so bad, I can't even say them on here. And so if a person keeps doing that over just little irritations, right? And then those irritations grow into bigger ones, you start to lose your confidence within yourself. That's why you can't stay around these people for too long. And some of you all got family members like this. Every opportunity they get, they like to joke. I remember this one relative, he didn't joke about my intelligence, but what he did say is that you think you know so much, or you're such a, you're so bossy, or, you know, and I was just a kid at the time. We're not talking about an adult. I was just a kid, and he was already saying these things. And at some, you know, there were moments where, yes, absolutely, I was that way. I own up to it, because most little girls, we like to, you know, point fingers and, hey, you do this and you do that. Okay. I mean, if you've been around enough little girls, you know that there's those that are kind of bossy, right? They're not passive. Okay. I've been around a lot of strong-minded women. Okay. And I'd also been around some strong-minded men. So I couldn't help myself. Okay. But here's the problem now. A person who's sinister in their intelligence, they like to play around with people like that. Oh, so you think you're a little smarty pants, huh? Oh, well, I got something for you. Right? So they say little things, or they do things. And what he did was he used to use his eyes. His eyes, though, were like daggers at times, you see, because he knew he couldn't say but so much because relatives were around. So he would just use his eyes. Sometimes he used his eyes in a very cocky sort of way, just kind of sizing me up and down like, you know. Then he had some other ways of using his eyes with this like little mean look, like he was about to do something, you know, because he didn't like some of the things I was saying, or doing. And then eventually, though, this individual, he ended up not coming around a family anymore. He got himself in a whole lot of trouble. And it's funny how when I was a child, I had already seen who was friend and who was foe. I knew that I had good relatives and I knew I had bad relatives. Okay. Nowadays we got all sorts of personality disorder names and so forth, you know, for all sorts of people. But back in those days, I mean, I'm just a little kid. All I know is there's good people and there's bad people, you see. And so it's interesting because all of those ones who I was a bit leery about, I didn't really want to be around too much. Okay. Those individuals ended up being problems later on in life. And some of them, unfortunately, are deceased. Okay. So, you know, sometimes people, they are insulting folks and they don't realize who or what they are insulting. God has his hands, you see, on many of his children. And when you got people that are attacking you and saying things that are not even valid, or not the types of things that are even the least bit beneficial, okay, to kingdom business or what have you, it isn't any wonder why a lot of negative things tend to happen with some of these individuals, okay? Because God, he's trying to, or not trying, I should say, God is getting us on a path so that we can focus on him. And so that we can do the types of things that he wants us to do because we have accepted him as our personal Lord and Savior. And he knows the desires of our heart. So when you got people who's insulting your intelligence, who's trying to keep their foot on your neck, God has to remove them out of your life. Sometimes you're not strong enough. You're not strong enough to do it. So that's why negative things tend to happen with some of these people. Because they could walk. They could leave you alone. But when they don't, well, hey, it's going to be some problems. Okay. And you may be the one, or somebody around you may be the one that defends you. Okay. They may say, you know what? You're going to leave her alone. You're going to stop calling her all these names. You're going to stop being disrespectful. And what if I don't? Well, I can pick up the phone and call the police. oh, you wouldn't. Oh, try me. You see, sometimes God will put that person in front of you to say, no, you're not going to take this from him any longer. This one right here, this one's a problem. We used to take people like him and beat him out there in the street. Oh, matter of fact, and so children of darkness have a way of being used to deal with children of darkness. No, Satan can't cast out Satan. But Satan can kill, steal, and destroy his own. Okay. And some of you've been seeing this sort of situation play out, and maybe you didn't piece together the dots or piece together the puzzle. Okay. But the truth of the matter is that this sort of thing happens with so many people who God has his favor with. And sometimes they don't see, they're like, wait a minute, why is all this stuff happening? He was such a bully. And sometimes they may even feel sorry or pity. But the Lord says, don't feel sorry for your enemies. Don't pity them. If anything, you just pray for them and you keep it moving, because I got your case in my hands. I'm dealing with this person right now, you see, and you don't stay focused on that individual either, or group. Okay. Because sometimes it's a group that is stalking. It's a group that is calling a bunch of names. It's a group that's following some folks, and they insult your intelligence because they think that you don't know that that's what they're up to. They'll even deny. Some of them will come up to you and say, oh, no, I never said that. I never did that. Oh, I didn't see you sitting in front of the house. Oh, I didn't see you drive past here. Oh, I didn't see you over here. No, that was somebody else. You're not stupid. You're not stupid, but they gotta say things or do things in such a way because they don't want you to be on to the game. Okay. Now, I know that I'm talking about some pretty heavy stuff right now at this point in the message, and I'm just allowing the Lord to lead me because I know there are some people who are being bullied, okay, by neighbors, by relatives, by all sorts of folks that are being paid. Some of them and other ones, they're just doing it because they got something wrong with their heads, and they're doing these sorts of things because of whatever you were once affiliated with, whoever you were talking to. Some of the most intelligent of our society have to be controlled. Okay. That's the way some of these programmers, groups and so forth, think. Because if you end up using your intelligence to, let's say, educate the masses, you might be a threat. If you end up using what you've learned from a workplace, you might be a potential problem. So a lot of this stuff goes on because they feel that the best way to keep you quiet about some things is to attack you in your mind. Okay. So no, I'm not coming at you with fists, right? But the idea is to get you so wound up in your mind emotionally that you end up doing the unthinkable, which is, for some people, God rest their souls, but it was suicide. They were driven to suicide. Okay. It wasn't that, oh, one day they said, okay, sure, this is what I'm going to do. But they were driven, whether it was through various technology, whether it was through drugs, alcohol, or they knew what their weaknesses was. They were able to get them to basically just say, this is it. I can't take it any longer, and drive them mad. See, intelligent people usually attack in ways that is about systematically driving you mad. Now, if you can rise above that by praying, trusting in the Lord, asking the Lord to give you the spiritual insight, to give you the strength to survive, asking the Lord for special favor, setting up a plan of some sort to get you up out of wherever you are at, you'll be okay. You'll be all right. But for those, though, that don't utilize their intelligence, or they're too far gone because of all the stuff that they've gone through, they end up staying right where they are, unfortunately. And so we pray for these individuals. Okay, so insulting one's intelligence comes in all sorts of ways. It comes through a basic conversation that eventually spirals out of control. And some of you all, I have a book coming out called Face Your Foe. I hope that you will read this, because confrontation is something that you cannot get around as you walk with the Lord. So you might as well be prepared. Now, if you already read Know Your Enemy, the Christian's Critic, you know I do a lot of exposing as far as the enemy's games go. Okay. And there's many of them, mind games, physical assaults and all this other stuff. But when it comes down to confronting one's foe, okay, you got to be prepared. And you don't want to be that one that's cowering. You don't want to be that one that's too scared to fight back and all of that. And you can fight back through legal documents. You can fight back through, all sorts of ways. Okay. And it's just too many to get into. But when you know that these people are around you, you've got to be able to withstand a lot of what they're going to put upon you. Sometimes God allows this sort of thing because he's refining us, okay, because he's getting us ready for another battle. A lot of times I find out that those little small ones, right, the little small quarrel, dealing with this one and that one, some inconveniences, all these like little irritations, they're just a setup for what's to come. And if you can be able to fight those battles, you should be okay by the time the bigger battles show up. Okay. Somebody needed to hear that, because I know that sometimes it seems like it's a bit much, but God is not going to put no more on you than you can bear. But if you are putting some things on you and it's getting quite stressful, then you need to distance yourself. You need to let go of some things. You need to let go of some people too. Okay. You need to stand down for a while. Okay. So we've got these individuals that are out here and they're coming up with these different ways of attacking you. Some have already been through much, but if you are trusting in the Lord and once again, not leaning on your own understanding, you'll be able to survive the blows of the enemy. Okay. You will be able to survive them. And just when the enemy thought that really harsh word or a series of words that he said got next to you, you come back around and you're smiling and you're taking care of this thing and that thing and you're feeling good about yourself. And there's nothing that person can say or do. If anything, they think it's sad, but some of them, they are so self-absorbed that they think that you're actually dumb because you're in such a good mood after they had said all of what they said. But God gives you that joy. God gives you the fight to keep going. Ignorant people, they stay in a box in their mind of what they believe is right, of what they believe they have control over. They are the type of individuals that they don't seek higher knowledge. They just go on what they already learned, okay, and they don't upgrade. It's like a person having a phone, right, from way back when, where you had to dial the numbers, okay, on a device that you literally have to sit there and wait for the dialer to go all the way around. Okay. Meanwhile, everybody has a push button operation going on with them. And some of them can even just speak and the phone rings. Well, some of these people, they have this thing where they have, an archaic knowledge. Okay. And they don't go with, with society. They don't grow, I should say. They don't grow with society. Okay. And so because they don't grow with society, they end up handling things and doing things in an old school sort of way. So you got, like, for instance, sexist men, okay, who want to attack in a way where it's like, do you realize what year we're in? Okay. So you have, I'll never forget one individual before I close this message out. One individual in the family, I was in the kitchen doing something, and he said, yeah, why don't you, make me a plate? And I was like, what? Right. The mindset was just totally just out there in another, dimension. And I told him, I said, excuse me, but no, I'm not. And he's like, but you are, because, I'm and I'm not going to give a title, but basically he, felt like I should do it. And I told him, I said, and I'm not doing it. And I walked away from him. And he gave me this look as if, he wanted to hit me, but he knew that wasn't going to fly, because I had relatives all around and I was considered one of the favorites. So he knew that he, couldn't do that sort of thing. But I remember that exchange, And when I think back, it's funny because once again, some people, their intelligence, they've limited it. They've stagnated their spiritual as well as emotional growth. Okay. Some of them, they're older and they act like teenagers. And it's like there's certain areas of their brain that was never developed. So they may argue like a teenager. They may rebel like a teenager. They may do all sorts of things because they stagnated their own growth. So, don't do that to yourself. I know some of you all, that's what the enemy wants. He wants you to just stop. This is it. No more learning, no more growing. You got all of what you got in this life and just be grateful. But when God is tugging on your heart and he's telling you, gain more understanding, gain more knowledge. Okay. Don't let people who have called you dumb, stupid, and whatever else keep you from growing. Okay. Listen and obey, because these people, as somebody told me a long time ago, they pull up their pants just like you do. They go to the bathroom just like you do. They're nothing more than human beings, right? And you're human. And all of you all are going to one day, as well as myself, face the judge of all judges. And you want to be that one that is in the right. So you confess your sin if you know you were out of character when somebody insulted you. Okay, you repent, you change your mindset. In other words, you're not going to handle the next issue in the same way that you handled the last one. And the beautiful thing about God is that we always have opportunities to change. There is always an opportunity to do something different. And when you know that somebody around you is not willing to do what is right, they're not willing to draw near to the Lord, they're on attack mode, they're jealous of you because of your intellect, they're looking to find fault with you, they are belittling you, or whatever else they're doing, ask the Lord to get you up out of that situation, okay? Or situations. And then this way you don't have to keep going through like you've been. Well, that is it. Blessings to you. Please do check the description box for anything that might be of interest. You've been listening to YouTube NM Enterprise 7. Subscribe today. And we also welcome donations.